Hi everyone, welcome to Halva for the Heart, Dying and Grieving in Diaspora. My name is Misha. I am an Iranian-American death doula and grief tender. And on today's episode, I'm so excited for you to listen to this. This is an interview with Sahar Kaur, who is an incredible wealth of knowledge about traditional Persian medicine, the herbs and the foods that can be there to support us. She talks particularly about the menstrual cycle, but also in terms of grief care and death care as well. And we also even talk about Shahmaran and her presence in both of our lives. You can go back and listen to the Shahmaran episode from a few episodes ago if you want to learn more about her as well. But yeah, I just loved having this conversation with her because I don't know that much about traditional Persian medicine. I've done a bit of reading and I just was so excited to learn more, and I can't wait for you to learn as well. I've been getting a lot of questions, as I mentioned in the episode, about traditional Persian plants that can support us through times of grief and mourning. And she shares everything she knows. So if you're not following Sahar, I'll link it below. Please follow her. Her posts on Instagram are so beautiful and educational. I love what she's doing. So yeah, before we get to the interview, I'm going to read her bio so you can hear what she is all about in her voice. Sahar is a decolonized womb health educator working at the intersection of cyclicity, identity, and ancestral memory. A daughter of ancient Elam and Bactria, early cradle civilizations of what is now Iran and Afghanistan, her work honors the womb as the source of identity, where memory, lineage, and truth are held. She guides women, particularly from the Swana region, to reconnect to their true selves through the womb. Through independent research in traditional Persian medicine, she is reviving ancient Iranian menstrual wisdom and womb rituals erased by history, offering womb health as grounded ancestral reality, free from appropriation and spiritual fantasy. I just want to make a little note here that while we speak a lot about women, that everything shared in this episode can be applied to anyone who has a menstrual cycle and anyone who identifies as a woman. And honestly, I think even it's helpful information to anyone that this is healing knowledge that everyone should know about. And much of it is applicable even if you do not have a menstrual cycle. The womb space is a space that we all carry. And as I mentioned in the episode, to me, it is the space of Shahmaran. One final thing I want to share before I get to the interview is I mentioned in the episode the Iranian holiday guidebooks I've been creating. The next one has just been released. It's for the holiday Esfandagan. It is the holiday in the month of Esfand, which is around February to or March. And this holiday is dedicated to the goddess Esfand, also known as Benta Amariti, who is the Mother Earth goddess of ancient Iran. So this holiday is dedicated all to her. And talk about cycles. She is the goddess of like budding fertility, right? Nowruz, spring is just around the corner. So we're tapping into her energy this week. If you'd like to learn more, you can download the PDF guidebook that I'll link below. And as a reminder, members of Dard the online Iranian grief support space that I facilitate, get access to the guidebooks for free. Otherwise, they are by donation. So I'll link that all below. It's right there for you to click on if you'd like to download or join us. And yeah, thanks for listening to this very long intro, but we are ready. You may want to take notes during this episode because I wish I had been when I was interviewing her. So yeah, this is our interview. Enjoy. I want to welcome everyone to listen to our conversation with me and Sahar Kaur, who is Iranian, Afghan, French, but lives in the UK, a decolonizing menstrual womb health educator. And I've loved following you on Instagram. I feel like there's so much of our, I don't want to say like our work, because we come from different worlds, right? But I think our perspective and our approach to our different work is very similar. I feel like whenever I'm like about to post something or thinking about something, you've already posted about it, and I'm like, what? I was just thinking about that. It's very like what's the word? Synchronous. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you want to introduce yourself?
First of all, thank you very much, Misha, for inviting me to this wonderful podcast. I've been listening to a few episodes and I resonate a lot. And yeah, I think our work is kind of like interconnected. That's why we are like, oh, I want to post. And same thing happened for me actually, like many times, especially when it comes to the, Iranian traditions that I think, and then it's the link between that and the menstrual cycle, and also then you post. So wonderful work you're doing. Thank you very much. Yeah, so you introduced me very well. I'm Sahar. I'm 35 years old. I live in the UK. My mom is from Iran and my dad from Afghanistan. And it's been now 4 to 5 years I am into the womb work. I started as a yoga practitioner and Ayurveda practitioner for kids, and then slowly moving on to women when it comes to pregnancy, um, the postnatal part as well. So I felt that actually I'm very into all transition of the woman life. So yeah, so that's why but then I specialize only in menstrual cycle and womb work because I wanted to go back to the source. And when I say to the source, is for me, womb is the identity, and that was also part of my inner journey, I guess.
Mm. I noticed that you post a lot about grief through
Mm,
like a menstrual and womb lens. So I was wondering if you could share more about that.
yeah, sure. I've been posting about grief, I guess, maybe recently because I've been myself going through this process when I lost my grandmother last year, the 28th of March, my maternal grandmother. And I didn't have time to grieve actually because when I lost her, I had a vacation planned, and she was in Iran, and I had a vacation planned already. So just hardly 1 week after, I went to Turkey, and at that time, if you see my pictures and all, I was so happy, laughing here and there, but it didn't look like I just lost my grandmother, and I didn't do all the the rituals and all. I was not a part of that. And I guess part of me through these posts is also accepting that she left us. And but yeah, the grief also came recently to me because this is something I feel we hardly speak about. It's very taboo, especially in our culture. Uh, and it's something that I feel we have to address because we actually, as people who bleed, we are experiencing also kind of every month a death, right? So when it comes to our menstruation, when we're bleeding, and in many ancient medicine, like the Persian medicine, the Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, bleeding is actually our death part, and like we are releasing things which are no longer needed that we have been through this month or the month before. So our blood is very sacred, and I guess when you when you start working on this journey and you start connecting to the cycles of life, you can't ignore that. You can't ignore this part. So it's embodying actually all cycles. It's not just like, oh, I connect to my menstrual cycle, I track my menstrual cycle, I will live cyclically. It's not like a woo land. It's real. So yeah, that is a big part of it. So that's why maybe recently I've been posting more about that, and also because we were going through winter, which represents the menstruations actually in our own cycle. So we are not separate from nature, right? So whatever happens in the nature happens inside us. So we are living as people who bleed every month the 4 seasons. And when, for example, the menstruation happen, and we are also in winter, so we have double winter, like outside, inside. So this is also the winter part is like really the part we should be resting, we should just be still. And I feel those things that we need during the menstruation, that we are able to just sit in the calm without any noise. This is maybe like something that we can do actually when we are grieving, you know. So, but we never learned that, and also society never allowed us to sit back and just rest, you know.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how I feel like I've been in tune, I've been trying to learn more and like get in tune with like the ancient holidays, right? The seasons and thinking about like, okay, thing like the different foods you would eat in different times of the year. Like I don't really want to eat like ashereshteh in the middle of summer. It's just like not a great summer dish. But then I saw your post about ashereshteh as like a luteal phase dish. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah. I mean, that makes sense. To me, I'm like, I'm only gonna eat it in the winter. But
Mm,
but it makes sense that like I also have these cycles. I think it's a relearning for me because I was on hormonal birth control for so long,
mm,
like
mm,
16 years of my life,
mm,
that like I think my body is relearning those seasons and
mm,
just learning how to recognize what it needs at different times. I'm also thinking about like in death work, we talk a lot about grief and how people think that it's like an emotional state, which it is. Yeah, there's emotions involved,
mm,
sure. But like as a grief care person, we're taught to like care for the body first and foremost. That like,
mm,
you know, when you're in grief, your body is shutting down, right? You need to care for the body. And the best
mm,
way best way to do that is offer someone soup, right? If someone's grieving, make them a soup, make asherishte. Like
mm,
that's gonna
mm,
be the most nourishing thing that their body can do. I mean, besides like getting some sunshine and like maybe moving their bodies. Um,
mm.
but yeah, can you talk more about, because you've been posting amazing like cooking videos. Can you talk more about the food?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I really, if that's funny because I was never a good person like to cook. I hate cooking. I used to hate cooking. I insisted on that. So I never liked to cook. I never liked to cook, and my husband cooks. So sometimes he makes joke like I'm a house husband. So you chose me for that. I'm like, yeah,
My husband
no.
too. He does all the cooking.
So that's great. I mean, I was like, and my mom was like, "You're lucky because you're lazy when it comes to cooking." And I was like, "I like to eat. I love to eat Iranian dish." And I didn't. And I said that I don't have any. My mom, she don't mind, but I didn't learn it from her because she's the first generation who left Iran and came to France when she was 17 years old. And at that time, she didn't have her mom to teach her like how to do kubide, how to do ashrishte, oh, very simple things. But when I used to go to Iran and I see my grandmother cooking, I was like the aroma, everything, this connection to the body, and also the way to eat. I learned from them. I always saw my grandparents cooking. So this is the how do we say the experience I had is when she passed away. And this I mentioned also in one of my posts on Instagram. I saw her hand overlapping mine when I started cooking and doing these Iranian dishes. It just came that I have to do. But while I was cooking, I didn't feel it was myself. I felt it was something else also giving me this energy and this knowledge because trust me, I never did a osheshte before in my life. And the first one I did, it was like I don't want to praise myself, but it was really good. It was like the one I used to eat in Iran, and even my kuku sabzi. Like my mom knows how to do kuku sabzi. She's like, it's the simple recipe, but my kuku sabzi was another level, and I was like, what happened? Like magic happened. Like what did I do? But in the process, I was in a meditative state. I was not even. It's like I knew the ingredients. I never washed the sabzi. I never washed the coriander, the parsley, the dill that much, to do. And and when people saw, they think like I've been doing this for a long time. And I started doing just after a few months when she passed away. And I felt I knew the things inside me. So one of the things I guess that she passed on to me is also this the living memory of our culture and tradition, and also her cooking through me, so that I start cooking and sharing as well. And I really wanted to start cooking Iranian dish to keep this memory alive, and also bringing the wisdom of our dishes, like you said. Like when I was reading some books, like there were some herbs and some ingredients which were mentioned that this is good for menstruation, this is good for luteal phase. And my aunt is a nurse in Iran, and she used to send me lots of, you know, tips that this is good for your menstruation, this is good for and I used to be like, okay, that's fine, okay, that's fine. But then I was like, she's right, and nobody knows. Let's bring it back, you know. So yeah, I did this connection, and it's actually, you know, Ashishte is also served during the ceremonies of when you are doing the burials and all in Iran. Ashishte is served also. And I think also coming back to what we were saying before, that the food that we eat, for example, during our menstruation or luteal phase, which are the phase which we start, you know, resting and all, um, can be similar than the food we give during the rituals when we are grieving and all.
Wow. I just, I was gonna say, I ate ashirisha this week, but my husband made it. My husband,
That's really
um,
good.
yeah, it was wonderful. I wanted to mention, I don't know if you listened to my podcast, was it a few episodes ago, where I talked about a similar experience with my grandmother's hands, like taking over mine. Okay. It wasn't cooking. It was my
Okay.
grandmother was I mean, she knew how to cook, yes, but she was a knitter, and I was like trying to she taught me how to knit, but like I couldn't remember how to do it. And I was trying to like watch on YouTube, but like there are different methods to knitting. And I was like, none of
Mhm.
this seems familiar. I don't know what these people are doing. And so I just like turned off YouTube and I was like, just like talked to her. And I was like, Comac. And yeah, same thing. I like felt her hands like take over my hands. And then I was like,
Oh, wow.
what the hell? Like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't know how to do this. And it's just happening. And it was really crazy. So what I did is I like as it was happening, I thought to record the audio and I just like described what was happening. And so in the podcast, I like play the audio that I,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh God. I mean, that I don't know how I missed it, but I saw a post on your Instagram about knitting and all, and you do very nice voiceover behind
So,
actually. So, but you know, like it's something I didn't talk about before very easily, because like, you know, some people won't believe, or and even me, I wasn't able to believe with this was happening. And yeah, this is like overlapping, and I saw her hand. I mean, it's so, you know what I mean.
mhm.
It was a different feeling, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it feels, I mean, to me, it like really felt like magic. And I was like, whoa,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Mm. And I guess I want to ask you about your grandmother, how much you like were able to spend time with her. My grandmother grew up in like, well, she lived in California with me as I was growing up, so I got to spend
Mm.
quite a bit of time with her, and I'm so, so grateful for that. I mean, she was
Mm.
not the easiest woman to get along with, but yeah, I'm grateful for that. But I'm curious how much time you got to spend with your grandmother.
It's never enough time, I think.
Mm.
Of course, we were separate but a distance. So I have a younger brother, and we are the only grandchildren of my mom's side parents. So I lost my grandfather when I was 12. I was very close to him, and I lost her last year. I'm very grateful that I was able to have her by my side till my 35th year. And but I mostly spent time with her only on summers, you know, for 2 months. And it was not every year, because then you grow up and you have to travel other places. So usually summer holidays only was for my mom's side family in Iran. And but when, for example, when COVID happened for 4 years, I didn't see her. There were moments that we were very separated, but she was such a happy woman, and we used to do video call, and you know, but I think, you know, she was suffering from this distance. Like her only joy was to see us, to come to Iran, you know. And she was saying when I got married, she was not able to come to my wedding. It was in India. She was old, of course, like it was difficult for her. but she was saying, I know it's my time. She was really like a wise woman, wise old woman, and she knew things. I feel she knew things, and she was like, no worry, I'm not going until I see your husband. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. So,
Wow.
but I was, she was also a very, maybe you can relate to that, but we have always, it's especially in our culture, like Iran, Afghanistan, we have older women who are like, the boss of the family. The wise woman. And my grandmother was like this. She was not an easy woman. She was very, very strict, very strict. I know the story, but she was against my parents' wedding, many things. She was very like, but with grandchildren is different, I feel. And her relationship with me was really different. And I can tell my mom was not that close to her mom, and I was really close to her mom, that my grandmother. And I guess it jumped a generation. But I wish I could have her by my side in France, or I didn't have this chance to be every weekend with my grandparents and all. It was just relying on the holidays.
Mm. I'm
Mm.
thinking about my great grandmother, my mom's
Mm-hmm.
mom's mom. I never met her,
Oh, yeah.
but like all I've ever heard about her is that like no one liked her. Like she was the nastiest old woman. And whenever I tell people about like other Iranians about her, and I explain she was a headmaster of a school, and everyone I know in
Oh.
Iran is always like, "Oh, they are the worst. Like they're always the meanest women." And I was like, "Yep, that was her." But I like when I sit down on my altar, like I've been really getting to know her, and I like have so
Mm,
much sympathy for like she had such a hard life. Like of course she was a nasty
mm,
old woman. Um,
mm,
and so yeah, when you say like skipping generations, I'm like, yeah, my mom and my chala like never speak nicely of her ever.
mm,
And
mm.
yeah, I think there's more to her story than I think she has things to teach. I'm still getting to know her, but yeah.
I agree with you. I guess maybe also nobody, because they don't share emotions easily, right? Like it they had difficulties and we don't know what they've been through. And I guess our parents' generation, maybe they were the generation they didn't speak about their emotion that much. I mean, my mom's side still it was fine, but if you go towards my dad family, Afghanistan, it's very taboo. Like even my grandfather didn't have a relationship with my own dad, So yeah, I think many many things we don't know.
Yeah, a lot of that like unprocessed trauma that's just being passed
Mm,
down.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot, especially with I mean like the recent massacre in Iran. I'm like thinking about I feel like the people in Iran are probably focused more on survival and like rightfully so. But
Mm.
thinking about like how that is probably gonna like as a nation is gonna go unprocessed and what impact that's gonna have.
I honestly don't know also, but I think by the thing I've seen in Iran when I traveled recently, there is slowly, slowly also, some somatic work which have started. But for example, I can tell about my town in Esfahan, like there were many yoga instructors, Reiki masters, slowly, slowly. There are people who are going into the healing space as well. Sometimes not on a decolonized approach, unfortunately, because still some people there are praising, Western thing. I mean, I'm saying, see, Western, I mean, yoga is not Western at all, but, the Western style of yoga implemented in Iran. But there, I have hope. I have seen some people who are having a decolonized approach, and they can maybe, at least this generation, I guess they can do a little bit more of the healing compared to the generation of my mom who is 65, even my aunt who is 50, 55 now, because they have lots of unprocessed trauma for sure. Mm. And the people there are very resilient and joyful as well. They have their own way of processing, I guess. uh, it's more through dancing, music, whatever. So I stay optimistic. I hope.
I wanted to ask because you've done a lot more research, learning around like the traditional Persian medicine and stuff, and
Mm,
I've learned a lot from you in terms of like you post about different plants and foods and things like that. But I'm
mhm,
curious if you've seen anything in terms of like when we talk about like yoga as a health practice from South Asia, like is there a
mm.
Persian somatic healing in the medicine?
There isn't actually.
Mm.
Also, I want to say that many, many books have been burned. Like
Mm.
from ancient times, there are many, many books that have been burned, and the only ones which are still conserved are the one from Avicenna, you know. And Avicenna is still a little bit more new. It's more a little influenced by Islam and Sufism and all. So I try still to go more deep and go more back and all, but there should be. But I mostly saw that the traditional medicine is very, very similar to what Ayurveda teaches us, which is, the body, mind, and spirit are not divided. And the small difference, I mean, it's not a difference, but I would say it's more about we call misage. And this basically this word misage I've heard a lot about my family. I guess it's inside them also. It was passed on through oral tradition. Is about the temperament. So it's all about traditional Persian medicine is more about the way I till now, because I'm sure there are many things I still didn't discover, but till now the way I understood it's really, really about food, really about ingredients, really about spice, herbs, plants, flowers. It's really about that, really mainly. And but I didn't see any other practice, like for example like yoga with different postures and all. I didn't
Mm.
see that. Honestly, I didn't see that. It's mostly about, yeah. But I think also, now that I remember, sorry, when I went to Turkey, because in Turkey they have some parts of Turkey, they still do the old teb, which means medicine. They mixed something with Unani teb, and someone was asking me if it's the same that the Persian medicine. It's not the same. Unani teb, it's really influenced by religion. Like there is a part of Islam inside, and they through the religion they have some ritual, but I didn't go through that path. Like I mean, I didn't go to that path to understand, because I know they have some meditations and all these things that they do, their rituals, but it's interlinked with a little bit of religion. So this is different practice.
Oh, it's fascinating. I feel like I have so much to uncover and like still learn about.
Yeah, it's still me. I mean, I'm really on this journey. I say also unearthing the medicine and the ancient wisdom and everything. But yeah, that's why my really, like, I feel this is my mission to. I really hope I find more things, more knowledge to show on Instagram. I still didn't post all of them. Honestly, I'm very like not bad at technology, but sometimes I just want to express in a different way, because creating a post and all, podcast is very good, talking and all. But yeah, this year I will bring more of my work and discoveries as well.
Mm. Yeah, people are asking me. I've especially had with the holiday guidebooks I've written, I've had a lot of people ask
Mm.
me like, what plants are associated with each holiday? And I'm like, I don't know. Like,
Ah,
I don't
that's a
have,
very good one. Mm.
yeah, I don't know have that information. I've also had people ask me like, what plants like native to Iran would be good for grief, and the only one I know about is Muhammadi, but and I saw your post and I was like, I shared it with them. I was like, this
Mm.
is what I was talking about because I know it's good for grief, but like that's it. I don't know more about it. I don't know like how do you work with it? Like
Mhm.
what do you want to share more?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Um, just to come to your uh, questions that people were asking about the plants for each celebration or tradition, or this is really interesting, because we can definitely combine something. And for example, it's not only plants. It's, for example, for Yalda, the pomegranate. This, like, we have pomegranate for Yalda. For Nowruz, we have the thing I want to say is not only plants or herbs and all. Sometimes it's also fruits
Mm,
and other symbolic. Um,
Yeah.
ingredients that we find. Yeah. So
On the half scene, you have the seeb and you have the sombol, and
yeah, you have some bowl. There was something it slipped my mind that there was another thing. Maybe it will come later. But yeah, coming back to Gul Mahamadi. So Gul Mahamadi actually is really, really sacred flower. And I insisted also that this is different that, the Damascus rose, which some
Oh,
people
is it
confuse.
different?
Yes,
Oh.
it's different because Gul Mohammadi, even I didn't know, but I was lucky to be able to go in Kashan, to see how they plug it. Sorry for the words, maybe it doesn't come, but in early morning how they do the people and all. And Gul Mohammadi is very small, is very very a very small rose, and before it opens, because when it opens, it doesn't look like a typical rose. It's more like it has many many petals. It's round, fluffy, very pink, purple color, very, very bright. So before it opens, before it blooms, they just take it, and it's very small and it's very, it's very bright in color. So Gul Mohammadi, but now, unfortunately, I think also that sometimes, even for example, in the UK, if you don't buy from, Iranian grocery shop or whatever, they can mixed, we don't know. It's very mixed, sorry, with Damascus rose, which is fine. Damascus rose also has some, how do you say, similar benefits, of course. I won't deny that. But yeah, Gul Mohammadi is still different. Gul Mohammadi, you just find it in Kashan, Isfahan region in Iran. And this is the gold, the flower which is used in different luxurious brands, and because the perfume is different, is really, I don't know how to explain, but it's strong, and it's strong but very cooling, fresh. And this is the properties of Gul Mohammadi. Gul Mohammadi, they say it's a universal healing flower, and this was also in the book of Avicenna, because it soothes the heart, the womb, because heart and womb communicate with each other. And because when you're grieving, your heart is heated up. When we talk about temperament in traditional medicine, Persian medicine, so the mizaj of the heart becomes hot. And for that, to cool down the mizaj, which is like the quality, the temperament of the heart, you bring Gul Mohammadi. And Gul Mohammadi is used in Iran. When I go to my grandfather's tomb or other people of my family who passed away, we always buy a bottle of Gol Mohammadi hydrosol, like hydrosol we say golab, golab, we call it golab. So it's a concentrated, it's hydrosol, basically concentrated water of Gol Mohammadi, and we put it on the grave, like this. First we wash it to cool the spirit, you know. So Gul Mohammadi is actually, I got goosebumps. It's very used for many things, even when the person pass away, like they spray a little bit of Gul Mohammadi, and when it comes to menstruations, it's very good, because still it's a cooling flower. Mainly, it's a cooling flower. It soothes the heart. It soothes the womb.
That's so interesting. And when you said that, I'm like, I'm thinking of Golab, and I'm like, yeah, it does make me literally, like, it makes me cooler. Like I feel,
Mm, mm,
yeah,
mm, mm.
I feel that. Would you recommend people work with it? Like, would they, like, a lot of like Persian desserts have golab in
Mm?
it. Like, eat those things.
Yeah.
Like, how would you,
Mm.
like, a foot bath in golab? I'm trying to think of like, how would you
Yeah,
work with
yeah,
it?
yeah. I will give you my own example how I work with it. Like every morning, I mixed a little bit of hydrosol, maybe 10 milliliter, in a small bottle of spray with filter water. I just shake that and I keep it in my fridge. And every morning, I spray my face with that. Every evening, I spray my face with that. This is something, for example, I learned from my grandmother and my mom. I always saw them spraying, and even during the day, sometimes just spray, because it calms the nervous system as well. Like I work from home and I'm always on my computer, and just sometimes I feel like just you know breathing. So I just put the spray. I feel so good. So I work with it like this. I always recommend to have a spray of Gul Mohammadi ready. Um, just make sure that you buy the gol-e, which is that you can use for face, because we use actually rose also. Now we see in many cosmetics also washing the face with rose, blah, blah, blah. But the real one, the hydrosol, I buy it here from a brand, which is a natural brand, and it's for cosmetic purpose, but it's natural. And otherwise, I use it, for example, whenever I do on Sundays, not always, but sometimes I do, the rice pudding. We call it cholesal, and I put inside with saffron. And saffron also is one of the sacred spices from traditional Persian medicine. It's traditionally used when, for example, you have delayed menstruations, something like this. So it's good to have it during the luteal phase. And I put also gul Mahamadi at the same time inside. And otherwise, yeah, foot bath. So you just put a little bit of the hydrosol of the rose in the water basket, if I may say, yeah, basin. And then I put also a little bit of pink salt. So I do the combination of both pink salt and rose water for the foot, yeah. So and this is also in Chinese medicine, like you have all your organs which are inside, your foot, yeah. So basically, taking care of the feet and all is warming up the body, and especially like, yeah, my grandmother always said, "Jurabe push, wear socks, because never walk, even in summer. Like I wanted to be barefoot, and walking in her grand and big living room. No, 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 wear socks, even tiny socks, because it's the door to your womb, and your womb will become cold." This is the way they speak. So at that time I was like, what is she saying? But yeah, she's right. She knows it.
It's interesting you say that. I've lived in Korea for 10 years and I've worked as an English teacher at like kindergartens and elementary schools and stuff. And
Mm,
in the schools, they don't wear shoes. Like you take your shoes off before you enter the school.
mm, mm,
And a lot of times they'll have like indoor slippers they wear, but sometimes the students just won't wear shoes. Um, but they always have socks on. I'm like, it is like 100
mm,
degrees. Like, what are you doing? And then on days where like if I'm not wearing socks, even if I'm just wearing the slippers, they're like, why are your feet out? Like, what are you doing? And
mm,
I'm like, do you know
mm,
how hot it is outside? Like, why would I wear socks? But yeah, they're still taught that here, at least here, like you always wear socks no matter what. And I never really
mm,
thought about why. I just thought it was like a weird thing they did. That makes so much sense.
yeah, yeah, because they never let the it's not good to keep the feet be cold. So yeah.
Mm, and my feet are always cold, so
Mine, it's better now, but it's always my hand. So maybe I have to wear socks for my hands also now. I don't know. Gloves, maybe.
yeah, yeah. Are there other like of these like wisdom things that you would apply to grief
Yeah, yeah,
that you
yeah.
want to share?
Yeah, sure, sure. I wanted to share also another one, which is that we can also easily find in other countries. We call it Bahar Orange. It's Bahar Orange, orange blossom.
Mhm.
Yeah. So in many other traditions, it's used also. So Bahar Orange has the same kind of quality. It's very soothing the heart and the nervous system. It's also, I say this because it's also something that we drink as a sharbat, maybe for grief. So Bahar Orange, for example, is good. It's really good. I told you about zafaran. Zafaran is good as well.
Is saffron also cooling? In my head, it would not be, but
Yeah, yeah. Saffron is cooling also.
oh,
It's
okay.
basically when the menstruation. No, sorry, cooling in a way. How to say? It's warm. The quality of saffron is warm, but I wanted to say it soothes and it calms down it's not
Mm,
cooling. Yeah, it soothes the heart, but saffron is more warm actually. Yeah, because
okay.
when, for example, menstruations are delayed or very painful, it brings the warmth it needs. But yeah, it soothes the heart as well, and cool down maybe the nervous system. Yeah, I want to modify this part. That thank you for bringing that up, because my English sometimes it's
no, that makes more sense. Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, saffron, you can also do, a small tea of it, just a small pinch. You just grind it, no, not grind it, but, make it in small piece. And you put not boiling water, but warm water, and you just let it cool down. You can add a little bit of black tea if you want. And, but this you can drink even during the luteal phase and during the menstruation. It's if you have pain, if you really have pain, or you see that the blood is stuck, because otherwise, if your blood is fine, I mean, if it's flowing normally, don't drink saffron, because it can bring more blood, but this is really when it's delayed and you are like, oh, why is not coming, and I have lots of cramps, and just to give a kick, and this is good. Bahar orange, same. I do like an infusion, just a few petals, and you can mix also Bahar orange. Bahar orange is a little strong, so it doesn't mix with all other herbs, but you can mix it with chamomile, which is kind of like neutral, let's say, in terms of flavor. It's not that dominant or strong. So you can mix a little bit of chamomile with Bahar orange, because Bahar orange can be very strong sometimes for some people. So you can mix it with chamomile as well. But same, it's warm, and it's good for balancing again the menstrual cycle when it's disrupted.
I feel like I should be taking notes. This is so helpful.
I will make more posts about that, and I will so that we can say.
Yeah.
But there was another one also. I wanted to add. It's about gol-e. So the name is a little not weird. I don't want to say this, but it's a long name, gol-e, and I saw it's the equivalent is borage. I don't know if I pronounce well, but
yeah, borage.
Borage. So it's very like long petals, very dark purple color when they are dry. And this is this, so this, I will tell you a story about that. There was a day I was really feeling bad. I was a little younger. I mean, I was in my 20s, and I was really bad. I had lots of heartbeat, because I was sad, and something happened with my best friend, and we were like fighting, and I was very sensitive, and I was really I was like grieving something, because our friendship was over basically that day, like, and I was really, really sad. I was in bed. I couldn't move, and I was like I was kind of fainting. I had weird symptoms. And my mom's best friend, who used to live in France with us, she passed away, unfortunately, to cancer. She said, don't move. I'll bring gol-e. And I was like, I just heard Zabon. I was like, gol-e. It was sounding like cow tongue. I was like, what is she saying? She's bringing me. And I was like, no, Maman, I don't want this. And no, it's very good. We drink this when we are sad. We drink this when we are sad, when our heart is sad. I'm like, okay. She bring that. And I was, I was feeling more calm, back to my senses, because I was like a drama. I was in my bed. I was like crying, what happened? And all with my friend. She was a very, very close friend of mine since childhood. And we had a stupid fight, and we still don't speak to each other. But, but, I was like, it's a heartbreak for me. It was kind of a heartbreak. And the way my mom saw, she said, I will call Khaleroya. She will come. Let's see. And I drink this, and she did the gol-e, like an infusion, same, in warm water. And I was drinking slowly. And that was my first introduction to borage, this flower. And it's very calming the nervous system, and my heartbeat was slowly more stable. And they say it's for broken heart, type of symptoms. And it's also used for menstruation, when, especially on luteal phase, when you have ups and downs in your emotion, like PMSing and all. Like, there was a time now it's fine, but there was a time 10 years back when I used to be on my luteal phase. I was like crying, and then I don't know for what. And so for these moments, borage is very good.
Wow. That's, yeah. I have like so many people have been asking me questions, and I can't wait till I send them this episode because I can answer all their questions. I don't have this information, you know. I'm so glad I found you.
I'm happy to share. I'm happy to share.
I wanted to talk about like what it means to you to be like a decolonial menstrual womb educator. Like, how are you decolonizing your work in a way that like is different from the average menstrual
Mm.
educator?
For me, one part of decolonizing was also, I'm not saying that this is the right answer, but this is my interpretation, let's say, that first is to acknowledge that we have our own wisdom. And it started from last year when I was involved with Nisaba. It's an association here in the UK who take care of immigrant women who comes ask for asylum and all. And I did because I didn't feel, whenever I go to somewhere, like I always ask, I'm very this person who asks a lot of questions. I'm like, in real life, I was not finding my space into the womb work I used to find mostly on social media, or even here if I went to a retreat, because it was very fairy tale type, Lululand, let's do this, offer the blood to this. I mean, I'm really not criticizing, of course. I don't want this to be mistaken, but I want something grounded, And that's when I started being involved with women here who are displaced and yeah, living real experience. I would say that nobody thinks about, like where they are in the camps waiting for coming to the country, how they who is taking care of them, like how they are taking care of themselves. And I won't go there and say, okay, see, you have the menstrual phase, then you have the luteal phase. The approach should be, because they would be like, I don't care right now. I'm just waiting, and my life, I have so many other things to think about. And I had also this when I was living in India, because I was like, it has to have a more real approach, practical approach for the girls in the orphanage and all. So I would say, so one part for me, decolonizing, is also recognizing that it's not all woohoo style, the style we see on Instagram, and come out of this a little bit and be more sharing the work and adapting to the woman, different type of people who are bleeding. It's not only, we are not all in our comfort zone, we don't all have a roof on our head and all. There are women who are migrating, they're demanding asylum, and they're in the camps. In the UK there are so many. So going there, starting to work with them, and of course when you go and then you see, you're like, I can't do my course with the way I'm doing with them. You have to adapt. It's a different approach. So yeah, knowing that, for me this was one of the biggest part. And also telling them that these women especially, that it's okay, because they come from countries where it's taboo, like Somalia, Sudan, Yemen, Afghanistan, Pakistan, all these countries. They don't know anything. They are even ashamed to talk about this to their own daughters. Like, they were asking me questions, but they were whispering. And I felt so bad. I felt the pain in my own body, and I was like, there is so much taboo around this, around our womb, and it was all controlled by men, and they don't even know anything. They don't know. So that was the first thing for me, like really having this approach for other people who bleed, and also telling them that they they can go to their own traditions and their own, for there are many, for example, there were Syrian women, Lebanese women, and I was like, go and see in your country what you have. And they were like, oh yeah. And they were remembering, like, oh yeah, but we were doing oh yeah, my grandmother was doing this, or my aunt was doing this, even the small things, and this is important to remind people that they have themselves their own, they can go, and they're allowed to go in their own land, not physically, but even, what I mean. and search for the answer, and they have it. I'm sure it's in their DNA. They might do it without knowing it, and it's so just giving them a reassurance that it's fine if you go. It's you don't have to be ashamed. And we have done a really good work with the people from this association. We have created like a kind of brochure, with all the herbs and from the Swana region. So we don't call it Middle East, we call it Swana. So, so that's from this region. And the women were like, wow, oh yeah, but the hammam and this and the bukhur. And so they were like, we know this, but see, it's just reminding. Yeah.
That's so beautiful, especially like, when people are in that scary moment of transition to a new country without
Yeah.
certainty, just to
Mm,
like, yeah, have someone to talk to that they can understand what you're talking about. And it's not just like new
mm,
information they have to learn.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
fantastic. I'm thinking about the death care world and the death doula world and how, I mean, at least in the US, I don't know. I know the UK has a different hospice setup, and I think the hospice system in the UK is way better than it is in the US,
Oh,
um, from what I understand. But in the like in the US, hospice there aren't many like hospice like buildings anymore. Everyone, it's in your own house. They'll come to you, which sounds
okay.
great, but if you don't
Mm.
have a home, if you do not have a
Ah,
house, you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
qualify for hospice in a lot of places.
Oh
Like you just
God,
don't
yeah,
get
that's
those
true.
services. Um,
Mm,
yeah, so like colonizing the idea of like what does end of life care look like? You
mm,
know
mm,
it's only made for a certain type of privileged person that has access to things.
mm.
And they also assume that you have a caregiver at home. They won't pay for a caregiver. They'll come like twice a week. So if you don't have someone in your life who can just be your caregiver, sorry,
Oh,
like there isn't someone, yeah. And
yeah.
so
Mm,
yeah, just that idea of like how do we provide care in a way that like everyone can access it? Because everyone deserves care at the end of life, right? Everyone
mm,
does. How
mm,
do
mm,
we
mm,
do
mm.
that for all different situations of that people are going to show up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. That's the thing. Like it should be for everyone.
Mm.
Mm.
There's also this trend of like green burials are very trendy, which are
Oh,
just green burials in terms of like your body isn't embalmed, you're not in like a cement lining, like you're just it's your body in the earth, right? That's
ah,
which is sold as like this new eco-friendly trend. And we're like, there's
yeah.
nothing new about that. How is that new?
Oh my God. Yeah, and this is exactly this is the thing. Like I sorry, I don't like is like they make it marketable that and they bring up some trends and which were things rituals that existed before, and this is really a westernized approach. Like it's appropriation for me. It's something I sometimes appropriate linked to appropriation.
Yeah, definitely. And people like just don't know. I mean, hopefully it's just a lack of education and it's not something more
Mm,
sinister than that, right?
mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Is there anything that we haven't spoken about that you want to cover? Oh,
Um,
Shahmaran. I wanted to ask you about
oh
Shahmaran
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I just saw you posted, yeah, a few posts about your trip to like the Kurdish region of Turkey and how
Yes,
Shahmaran
yes.
was just like everywhere. And I thought that was so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it's very fascinating. I from where to start? I will start from where I think it started, from her when she appeared in my life, and then you you see how it fits. But so I really believe in sign, and nothing happens for no reason. So it can sound funny, but it started with a TV show, which is called Shahmaran. Actually, it's a
I've
Turkish
heard of
TV
it.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just like, what is this? And I was always attracted towards reptiles and especially serpents. So I never had like a fear of, I mean, of course, if I seen suddenly a serpent, I will be like, ooh, like the human reaction. But overall, I'm very fascinating and I fascinated and I really felt always a connection. And that reason is because my great grandmother, they call her snake whisperer, and she used to have snake at home, yeah, who was
Wow.
protecting her. So it was my mom's grandmother. And many stories that even my grandmother was saying, yeah, my mom was like this and all. She didn't believe it, but I mean, she had a snake at home, and the snake had babies, and I guess there were 3 or 4. And my mom used to tell stories that when they were more young and going to their grandmother house, they used to take the bath in the small swimming pool. It's not really a swimming pool, it's kind of like a fountain we have in our traditional homes. And when the kids were inside, the snake knew when to come out, so slowly coming out and roaming around, then going back. So there is a connection in the family with the snake and the stories. So maybe that's why I was always fascinated. But coming back to Shahmaran, so she came up like this suddenly through this show, and there was a time it was also, of course, linked to my inner journey, where I feel each step you are, some signs appear. And I really felt it was, so that was 3 years ago, when it was when I started actually digging into the ancient Iran history. So when you don't know where to start from, and that's a common mistake you do, of course, you only know about Mesopotamia civilization, right? So I was really into Mesopotamia, ancient Mesopotamia. Where was ancient Mesopotamia? But in Iran, we had ancient civilization, also the Akkadians, the Elamites. So this I came to know after. But first, you go to the academic research and use Mesopotamia. And I was like, so I was going through that. And I guess through that, I had to connect with Shahmaran in some way, then connect back to, Iran, ancient Iran. But yeah, she appeared in that show. And then I was like, yeah. And I was drawn from few months to go back, because Turkey, I love Turkey. I've been in Turkey many times. But I was like, I have to go to this part of Turkey. I had a calling that I have to go to this, Kurdish side. And I was reading also the book of Elif Shafak, There Are Rivers in the Sky. Her book is, like, I guess, my best book. I mean, usually I'm not into books which are like romance, stories and all. I get bored, but this one, because there is a part linked with ancient Mesopotamia and the ancient goddess, and also when I combined the things, I was like, Mardin was a common point. It was coming in the book, it was coming in the show, like it was crazy. So then I said, I have to go. I have to go to this region, which is very close to ancient Mesopotamia and all. And also they were saying that this is the place where you can go to a museum where ancient goddess, clay statues are still preserved. So of course I was drawn to that. So I went to Mardin, and I booked an Airbnb with a professor who actually, he was also in Iran, so he used to speak Farsi as well. But he was Kurdish Iraqi, I guess. Yeah, Kurdish Iraqi. It's a mixed region there. So I was asking about him. I mean, asked him about the legend of Shahmaran, and surprisingly, so that was actually the funny thing. Shahmaran was present everywhere on the streets, but people were not really talking about her. It's like they wanted to make sure that you're the right person to talk about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So they were not openly like sharing anything about Shahmaran. Because I was saying to that person, I said, his name was Omar, and I said, so Shahmaran, tell me about her, tell me the story. And he was looking and said, go there, come back. And he was always sending me somewhere and go back. And I was like, what is he doing? But that's when I understood also that not everything is granted. Like, you can't just go and be like, give me the story, like with your ego, tell me the story of Shahmaran, You have to maybe earn it. I don't know. There was some test I felt, because Martin is very small and the people there, they know each other. And then one day he said, okay, go to that person and go ask. There are many versions of Shahmaran and all. So the main version is that Shahmaran was a snake woman, in a, how do we say? Not a cave, but the other one. well. And
Mm-hmm.
there was a well, and basically that was the door to her kingdom underground. And she had a garden, full of serpents, and she was a medicine woman, you know. So the legend was this. The legend was that Chamsap, if I pronounce well, he was her lover for years. He used to live with her there, and then he came out back to the real world. And when he came to the real world, he saw that the king was sick, and only a part of Shahmaran could help him, basically, the king. So they were saying, like, anyone who knows where is Shahmaran, because Shahmaran, and that's the thing which was really interesting, is even in the legend, Shahmaran is hidden. And even when you go nowadays to Mardin, by protecting her stories, they kind of still hide her, you know? That's the connection I made. And the lover of Shahmaran was not saying that, I know, I've been living there with her from a long time. So he was not saying. And at the end, they came to know that he knows where is Shahmaran, and they said, no worry, we won't harm her and all. But that was all a lie. They basically killed Shahmaran to just get the snake, the snake part of her to heal. And Shahmaran basically, she died, but with dying, she gave all her wisdom and knowledge to her lover, and he was living many years and becoming a medicine person himself. But so this is one version of the myth. Another version, which is typical Kurdish version, which is also like the people who were telling me in Mardin, they were like, Shahmaran is not dead, and when Shahmaran, they killed her, many serpents came out of her, and serpents sisters basically, and they spread. We don't know where they are. They spread, but they're here. So they are kind of like waiting for this awakening of Shahmaran and the
Wow.
sisters to unite, you know? And this version, I didn't know about it till I went to Mardin. And that's why we see a lot of representation. And nobody actually did any other type of representation of her, because you see, still in the traditional way of designing her, nobody came with a new design. Okay, let's change it. No, it's very sacred and it's the same. The color changed, whatever, but the design stayed the same. And she's a protection. So she was drawn everywhere in shops, in restaurants, because she's also a symbol of protection. But yeah, Shahmaran sisters are here, and they are pretty much alive. And there was a link also with the Mahsa Amini movement. When the Mahsa Amini movement happened, they say that was, how do we say, that triggered also the awakening of the serpent sisters. So I deeply feel that we are into this movement right now. Yeah.
That's amazing. I first learned about her through there's a zine. There's a zine I have. It's a Shahmaran zine, and it was written by this group called the Omi Collective in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
And it was all about it. It's called Shahmaran, a wintering spent with the Queen of Serpents, and it was written.
Okay.
It was written during like the Mahsa Amini movement. Like it was about that. It was like that winter. It was like right after like the protests first started, and it was like, how do we spend this winter with Shahmaran, and what can we?
Ah.
And yeah, I've really spent time with her, and I kind of it's interesting that you bring her up because I really associate her with my womb. Like whenever I'm like talking with her, like my hands are on my womb space. Like something about her underground cavern feels like a womb space. Like it really
Yeah.
feels like a womb space.
Yeah.
And whenever I like feel like I feel like afraid, like I don't have lack of or I don't have control over things in my life, and I like ask her, and she's just like, you have to surrender. You have to surrender. Like you can come to the cavern and hang out here with me, but you just got to surrender to what's happening. So that's where so it's interesting to hear you talk about her in a similar way because that's what I've learned from her.
That's beautiful. Yeah, she's the feminine energy. She represents the feminine definitely, and you can do the parallel a little bit if you want about, because serpents were always having a sacred place in ancient history. If you see also in ancient Mesopotamia, they were represented. The goddesses were always with serpents. Serpents. There were other animals as well. In Iran, if you go, there were lions. There were lions. There were serpents. There was what's the name? The ox, you know? So there were the eagle also in ancient Iran. So there are some, I would say, how do we call them? You know, the animal which are linked to someone. The word is not coming, sorry, but these are part of the animals which were always sacred, and also in India. I mean, you know, the feminine energies, the kundalini, which is rising through the kundalini, is coming from the womb, and is the serpent rising, right? When the serpent is rolling, it's rolled in our womb and then rise, you know. So there is a connection. The serpent is definitely feminine.
I've been like working on my fear of saints. Like,
Yeah.
like trying to get over this fear. Yeah. Because I think there's so much wisdom to learn from them.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Is there any how can people find you, work with you? What are you offering?
Yes, sure. So for now, that's true that for now I don't have any, because I have a 9 to 5 job. So I'm trying to still combine both together, you know. And so here in the UK, I do physical sessions for teenagers. I teach about the menstrual cycle and all. I have some, you know, workshops. I've stopped the online one for now. I've stopped, but I'm creating again some course online, so it will come this year. I'm planning to have my own YouTube channel as well, to start having some podcasts and all. So people can find me on Instagram. It's by Sahar Kaur. And for now, I don't have any more. I used to have coaching sessions for people, you know, who had problem with their menstrual cycle. But honestly, for now, I stopped that because I don't have and I'm very focused on my studies regarding ancient Iran. But I will share for now, I'll just share the knowledge, whatever I have. And for the after Nowruz, I'm planning to have at least 1 or 2 courses about womb work, but with the approach of, you know, something with my signature. So it's coming, renewing everything.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I think there's so much that I don't know. And I
Thank
think
you.
that people are hungry for it, you know. If they're asking me, like I'm a death person. I don't know why they're asking me, but so people are definitely curious. Yeah.
But that's why also I created this group, you know, on Telegram, because for me I really always create for a community. So I created this group where we can connect with different people, maybe from the same cultural background, who are also into the holistic space, combine our wisdom, knowledge, and do some activities maybe once a month. For now, I'm focused on that, but slowly it will grow. So if anyone wants to join the group, they're more than welcome. We can share, we can connect with each other. And because I didn't know about you, I didn't know about many other people, and I was like, where they were, you know, like, but I'm really happy to connect with you.
Yeah. I'm so excited I'm seeing like the newer generation of Iranians like really
Exactly.
like building something, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, taking our place, actually, I would say,
Mm.
taking back our place. Yeah.
Yeah, I even see it in like the music and art world. Like there's this
Mm,
something is being birthed, and I'm
yeah.
yeah excited. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so
I'll
much
make
to you.
sure everyone follows you because they should.
Thank you. Same to you.